Good evening, and if you're watching Hillary, I hope it all went well today. Dunedin North's police station was opened this afternoon for the second time. Closed in the 70s, the buildings fulfilled various police functions. Now it's to become a community police centre. Joelle Thompson reports.
There's nothing too spectacular about the look of the centre in Howe Street, but from now on Dunedin North residents can expect a much higher police profile. The new centre certainly got a high-profile opening, complete with Police Minister and Commissioner. While police celebrated Dunedin's second venture into community policing, plans for a new central police station remain rather vague. The existing one was built in 1895, which makes it historic, but rather out of date in operational terms. A site in Great King Street's been identified for a new station.
I can see the community police stations we have now, this one in Dunedin North, Dunedin South, another one that's planned, actually growing and likely to have maybe 15, 20 staff in 2 or 3 years out from now, and so therefore that is always reducing the need for the central police station. And so we will have a good police station, but not a great massive one, and it will be designed specifically to meet the needs of Dunedin in the light of community policing.
In the meantime, Roger Douglas has officially opened the Dunedin North Centre. The next area to get similar treatment will be the hill suburbs around Roslyn and Kaikoura Valley.
As many as 30 Cromwell houses will go under the hammer at an auction in January. It'll be the Crown's first big sale of houses no longer needed for dam builders. A total of 400 Cromwell houses have been earmarked for sale over the next few years. So far, 15 have been sold, each for more than $60,000. In Dunedin, a Main Street retailer who thumbed his nose at the City Council's plan to tile city pavements now has to live with the consequences. The retailer declined to pay his share of the cost, and the council's made it obvious by leaving a small area of old asphalt at the shop entrance. John McDermott reports.
In a city that's taking on a smart new look, full-of-figure fashion boutique Maxime's doesn't quite conform. And here's the difference. To have the tiles laid, retailers had to pay 20% of the cost. Some objected, but Maxime's Christchurch-based owner declined point blank. $700 was too much, and he didn't like the way the city approached him.
They come with the blackmail and demand that we have to pay that money. If not, they're going to leave the shop not paved. And that's what upset me most of all, is the fact that they are blackmailing me and they demand to do it.
Well, I can't really see that it is blackmail, because blackmail carries with it the meaning of a person being forced to do something against their will.
Mr Yankov will get new asphalt, but at the moment some people see it as an eyesore.
I mean, I wouldn't not go in there because they're not paved, but I think they should pay up and be in line with all the other shops. And really makes the place look really awful. The rest of the place is looking so good.
But Yanko Yankov says there have been disruptive roadworks outside his shop during all 5 months he's traded in Dunedin, and he's not changing his mind.
I think it's a city council property, it's a city council problem. I pay $6,500 rates for the year, and I think some of that money can go for pavement outside.
In the meantime, one man's protest will remain a controversial feature of Dunedin's cityscape.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries in Dunedin says it'll prosecute a commercial fisherman after the seizure of 34 bags of rock lobster tails in Fiordland. The man will be charged with possessing and selling tails while they carried eggs, or tails from which eggs had been removed. The ministry says more than 120 kilos are involved. It's the era of containerisation, and the latest commodity to be moved in bulk in big square boxes is mail. The days of letters and parcels travelling on trains and buses, it seems, is nearly over. Alan Brady reports.
It's called a BTrain. It's part of New Zealand Post's new image, and it's the biggest thing on South Island roads. 3 of the giant rigs, each with an overall length of 20 metres, will go into service between Invercargill, Dunedin and Christchurch later this month. All standard mail will be carried in cages in the big containers, mail bags are out, and mail handling will be cut to a minimum.
We're extremely confident that it'll arrive in a much better condition.
The North Islands had similar mail trucks for over a year. Drivers were being trained for the $1 million South Island fleet this week.
Fiordland's weather is still playing havoc with the finish of the Grand Traverse. Torrential rain and swollen rivers means the last teams won't be finished till at least Saturday. And it was this weather that put paid to the chances of the favoured Queenstown team, which came in second yesterday. Michael Lynch was there at the finish.
Fiordland's bush proved the leveller for the young and enthusiastic Queenstown team in the Grand Traverse. They held an hour's lead going into this, the final leg, but the vastly experienced Christchurch group was just too good. In truly atrocious conditions, they ran through the night, risked lives crossing flooded rivers, and split up the locals when they passed them. But it was triumph enough for Queenstown to come in second, several hours behind. From mountain guide Mark Fetu to runner Penny Webster, it was a night to remember.
None of the team were familiar with that territory, unfortunately, and the other guys were. Yeah. We made a couple of blues early on, and bad lines, and they caught up quite quick because we were sort of up too high and had to come down again.
If you found it tough, you've got French people trying to do the same course. How are they going to find it?
It'll be pretty character building, I think, to say the least. Yeah, we were climbing vertical bluffs in the dark and up to our neck in water till 2 o'clock this morning. Yeah. So it was pretty testing, but it was good.
The third team in, Graham Dingle's group, finished only this morning, a day behind the winners. And French teams are still out in the bush, coping with some of the toughest weather Fiordland has to offer.
Character building indeed. The Grand Traverse has been run and won by a New Zealand team, but the Europeans aren't all that far behind. And as David Jamieson reports, the European presence wasn't confined to the competitors.
At times it was impossible to avoid the media on the Grand Traverse. Photographers from Paris Match and many other major French magazines and newspapers were all there. There were also film crews there to make a documentary and video cameramen from France's TVF1 channel. The huge distance of the course made the event very difficult to cover.
My problem is now, you see the first team is coming on the Cascade Hurdle at the top, and the last team are coming on the Wanaka Lake only. This is my problem, thanks.
Gerard Soupeau had to charter several helicopters to have cameras in the right place at the right time. Packages of French footage like this were cut together and fed to France via satellite early each morning. It arrived at prime time each night in Paris for viewing. With so many crews wandering around, it was inevitable someone was going to get in the way. And our soundman's microphone amused one racer. Both TVNZ and French TV had to sleep out in the field like the competitors to be close to the action. But after all the hard work, there were 1 or 2 rewards.
First gig. Film crews, it doesn't matter where you go, you can't get away from them. That's it from us tonight. See you tomorrow night. Good night.